You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Floors Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Hello friends, and welcome to Wayback Wednesday. I'm Randy Adcock. It's good of you to join us tonight. If you've been following along the last couple of weeks, I've been sharing some pictures that were graciously provided to me by Mr. Wallace Abernathy. We've looked at some pictures from Nashville, some pictures from Tarboro, and on the collection disc, the CD disc that Wallace provided me with, there's a ton of pictures of Rocky Mount. So I thought tonight we'd take a look at some of those pictures. If you're a regular viewer of the show, you'll recognize some of these. We have shown some of these pictures before. But one of the neat things that Wallace did in his collection is that quite often he would show the same basic shot 3, 4, sometimes 5 years apart. So we're going to look at some images that spread a several years sequence in some cases, and that's really neat to see how the area grew over a period of time. And so if you see anything you recognize, you want to join the conversation, give us a call. 407-1111 is our number. Today is Wednesday, December the 16th, so if you're watching any other time or any other date, you're watching a rerun. And I say that because the show does re-air both Saturday and Sunday afternoons. If you missed it on a Wednesday night, you can always catch a rerun. And forgive me, I don't know the exact times. I want to say it's mid-afternoon or so both days, but it does re-air on Saturday and Sunday, most weekends anyway. So pending no major news stories that are also out there. With that being said, I wanted to read something to you because we're going to start off tonight looking at some pictures from old hotels. And again, if you watch the show regularly, you know we've looked at pictures of the Rick's Hotel and the Cambridge Hotel and a bunch of different ones over the years. But I stumbled across, when I was doing some research for the night show, I stumbled across an article, or a submission, I guess you'd say, by Mr. Tommy Snowden, who used to work for WEED Radio many years ago. Some of you may remember him. He came to Rocky Mount in 1938, went to work for WEED, and he's got a little synopsis here of his early time at WEED Radio. And in this, he mentions the Cambridge Hotel. And so we're going to show you some pictures of that in just a minute. But before we get to the picture, I just want to read this. It's a couple of paragraphs long, not very long. But it's written by Mr. JT, or Tommy Snowden, as he was known at the time. He says, I first came to Nash County in Rocky Mount in 1938 to accept a position on the announcing and copywriting staff of radio station WEED AM. My salary was $22.50 per week. WEED was the only radio station east of Raleigh in 1938. Averill Wynn was the owner and manager. On the staff when I arrived were announcers Wally Williams, Carl McKinney, and Bernard Proctor. Ike Murphy, a Rocky Mount native, and Roy Bechtal from Pennsylvania, were our engineers. Our sales manager was B.W. Frank. Later, Ray Bandy and Jack Cummings worked in sales, as did I. I spent my first week in Rocky Mount at the Cambridge Hotel on Main Street. My room was on the second floor on the front, and the trains going by the front door of the hotel made sleeping difficult the first 2 or 3 nights. I ate my meals at the Palace Restaurant, the New York Cafe, and sometimes the Royal Palm Restaurant. After a week at the Cambridge Hotel, I secured a nice room with Mr. and Mrs. Jim Frank Avent on Forest Hill Drive in Englewood. Now, in 1938, Englewood was just really getting off the ground good. It had only been in existence for, 15, 20 years by this time. And so there wasn't much on Forest Hill Avenue, I'm sure, back in 1938. But anyway, he says, I soon discovered Miss Sally Edwards' boarding house on Church Street, just across from the Masonic Temple. I took my meals with Miss Edwards for $7 a week. I had lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Now keep that in mind. Man made $22.50 a week, had to spend a third of it for room and board. Tough living back in 1938. Radio Weed featured a lot of local live talent on the air. Perhaps best known at that time were Talmadge Pollard and Paul Byrd. If you remember a few weeks ago, we had a little segment about local radio talent, radio shows and so forth, and we talked about Talmadge Pollard and Paul Byrd both. The Johnson County Ramblers, sponsored by Planters Cotton Oil, we talked about it last week, and Fertilizer Company. The MC for the show was Uncle Eddie Burrell. Other artists who performed during the early years were Curly Red and his Melody Boys, Everett and Pearlie Ashley, the Ashley Brothers, and Atwood Greganis with brothers Julius and Irvin. Inez Cobb was one of our better singers and was featured on many programs. Lucille Arnold of Red Oak was our staff pianist and played for Inez and a number of other local entertainers that appeared at the station. You know, you got to remember, back in the early days of radio, there was very little, if any, canned music. I mean, you know, they'd make commercials and so forth, but a lot of the entertainment was live. They would have, you know, piano players or guitar players or vocalists or groups would come in, and so this was, you know, they had a piano player on staff to play the piano. So one of the most professional groups to appear on We Radio was Tex Dean and the Carefree Cowboys, sponsored by Pretty Fertilizer. That's Priddy, by the way. I'm not mispronouncing pretty, but it was Pretty, Priddy. I wrote the commercials and announced the show for several years. He goes on to say, I met and married Martha High of Red Oak in 1941. We live in Greenville, North Carolina. So this was submitted on Facebook August 25th of 2019. But I thought it was neat because it mentions the Cambridge Hotel and certainly some of the other restaurants down there, the Palace Restaurant, the New York Cafe, the Royal Palm Restaurant. And we've seen some images of those places, those establishments over the last year or so in some of the earlier shows. So with that being said, Lee, let's jump right into our first pictures, and I hope they're in the sequence that I've got them here on my page. So if so, the first one should be a picture of the Cambridge Hotel. And by the way, another side note about the Cambridge Hotel. When I was doing the research for tonight's show, I ran across an article that appeared. There you go. This is the Cambridge Hotel. There was an article that appeared in the Rocky Mount Telegram on December the 12th, 1951. And on December the 12th, 1951, the Cambridge Hotel was condemned. I'm not sure exactly when it was built. I want to say somewhere around the turn of the century, 1905, 1910, somewhere along in there. But anyway, it had a good run, and I'm not sure exactly when it closed. It had been closed and empty for some time, obviously, when it was finally condemned in 1951. But this was one of the better shots of the Cambridge Hotel that I have seen. And Lee, if you would, go ahead and let's go to the next picture, because this is another shot of the Cambridge. And there you go, that's even a little better shot. And of course, this was on Main Street, as he alluded to in his commentary there on Facebook. And so you'd be hard pressed to find trees up and down Main Street now. There's one on either side of this hotel there. But anyway, this was the Hotel Cambridge on Main Street, and like I said, in 1951 it was condemned. I assumed it was torn down shortly sometime after that. But anyway, these are two of the better shots that I have seen of the Cambridge Hotel. And again, thanks go out to Wallace Abernathy, because these were just two of literally a ton of pictures that he provided me with on a CD disc. And so we'll be looking at these pictures over the next few weeks. But tonight we're going to start off with a few dozen of them actually. So anyway, okay, these next two or three pictures actually are of the Center Theater. And as I mentioned earlier, some of these things are spaced out a little bit, years apart or whatever, and some of them, he did not do it in this case. Some of these things were actually labeled as far as what year they were taken, and you could, so this is one here. You see the Center Theater there on your right-hand side, about midway, the image on the right-hand side. Some of these businesses are long gone, of course. Center, of course, is long gone as well. Howard's Jewelry and Loan there on the left-hand side. Lee, can you zoom in? I wanted to see if we could read. I zoomed in on my computer in my office this afternoon when I was doing this, and I couldn't make out exactly. I'm hoping someone can recognize some of these other two businesses on the left-hand side of the street here, just above the bus there on the left. But it looks like on either side of Howard's Jewelry and Loans, there were a couple of businesses, and I tried to read those signs and I couldn't make them out. So maybe someone else can. I don't know. And I don't know if they'll zoom in. There you go. That looks like I don't know, is that Frank's maybe, or almost looks like Randy. I don't know. The black sign there. I can't make it out. I thought maybe someone might remember and could kind of tell us what they were. But this is obviously right across the street from the Center Theater. And I'm not sure, just looking at these cars, I'm guessing this is the early 1960s. So anyway, let's go ahead and lead to the next page. If anyone recognizes anything, by the way, give us a call. 407-1111 is our number. And we're looking at old pictures of Rocky Mount. Here we go. Here's another picture here of the Center Theater. And this to me looks to be a little bit later, or earlier I should say, maybe in the mid-50s, just looking at the cars there and in the background. I seem to recall the barbershop to the right of the Center Theater. I spent quite a bit of time as a child there, going to Saturday morning matinees, and then as a teenager going to the late shows that would air at the Center Theater on Saturday nights. And I seem to recall the barber shop there. I don't remember ever having my hair cut there, but I do think I remember that barber shop. I'm not sure how long it was there or how long it was in business. But anyway, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello there, you on the air?
All right, that barbershop was known as the Sunset Barbershop. I think it had 5 chairs in it.
Okay.
That's where I used to get my hair cut at when I was a teenager.
All right. Do you remember the barber who cut your hair?
John Batts.
Okay. That was actually a trick question, Eric. You impressed me. I know you're going to remember that.
He's been dead a long time, but I could see the other 2 or 3 guys that cut hair in there, and it was a shoeshine boy that worked in there. And it had that mosaic tile on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what year it closed, but I quit going in there when Mr. John Batts left and went he bought a house out on Fairview Road and bought a house that had a little barbershop in it.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. I went to school with his daughter.
Right.
Yeah, Ginger. His daughter's named Ginger. He had a little building there on Fairview, around the corner from Rosewood Avenue.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember him. Sure do. Okay. All right, buddy. Thank you here.
Yep.
Have a good one. All right. Yes, sir. Okay, so let's see. That was the second one. Lee, I think we got one more in this grouping of the Center Theater picture. Let's take this last. There you go. And this one, no cars around to judge by as far as trying to ascertain a date. So I'm going to just guess sometime, I don't know, 60s, early 70s maybe. Kind of hard to tell by this picture. There's really not a whole lot to go on. But this looks very much like I remember. Again, it's going there as a teenager. So anyway, okay, in prior shows we've talked a couple times about some of the hot stops around Rocky Mount, particularly for teenagers. You know, if you got your driver's license and were fortunate enough to be able to have access to a car, either your own or your parents' car, and could cruise the strip, as we used to call it, there were a handful of spots all over town on both the east side of Rocky Mount and, of course, the west side of Rocky Mount that were teenage hangouts, so certainly a meeting place, and there was no more popular than the Dairy Bar. So, Lee, let's take a look at this next picture. This is the Dairy Bar from 1949, and I think, like I said, I think we have actually seen this picture before. You see the cake box to your right there, but this was for number one, it was on the wrong side of town for me because I lived over in Inglewood as a child, as a teenager. My parents still did. And so I didn't get over to this part of town other than just to ride Sunset Avenue and back and forth looking for girls. But in any case, I know folks who spent a great deal of time at the Dairy Bar, and it was a very popular place for many years for people all over Rocky Mount, not just those that live in the vicinity of it. The next picture, Lee, if we could, let's go ahead and get to that one. This next picture, there you go. This is from 1950, and I think this is another picture that we may have seen before. Like I said, there's a handful of pictures out there in different collections of the Dairy Bar and some of these places, but these were just 2 that happened to be in the collection that Wallace provided me with, so just thought I would share those with you tonight. Okay, this next picture is one that I don't remember hearing about. It was a diner called Hadley's Diner, and Hadley's Diner in 1953 anyway, there was an ad that was published in one of the local yearbooks, and its address is just Highway 301 South. And it seems to me that we have mentioned this before, but I wouldn't swear to that, and I honestly cannot remember where it was. So maybe somebody remembers this, where it was, but Hadley's Diner, and I'm not sure when this picture was made. It looks to be early 50s perhaps, but I did stumble across an advertisement that appeared in one of the local high school yearbooks. I want to say it was either Southwest Edgecombe or it may have been Southwest Edgecombe. Anyway, it was a 1953 yearbook, and Hadley's Diner was listed there. So I know in 1953 it was in operation. I'm not sure how much longer than that, and I'm not sure when it started. But anyway, Highway 301 South is a pretty broad area to cover, so hard to say exactly unless someone remembers. But anyway, I don't even remember this building, to be honest with you. Okay, we've talked in a couple prior shows too about Hardee's, and the first Hardee's in Rocky Mount over on the corner of Falls Road and by the where the Veterans Memorial ground is now. There were two pictures on this collection of wallets that I thought were really neat. One of them shows it when it was just a walk-up access restaurant, and then the second picture shows it when they enclosed the front. So Lee, let's go ahead and show that first Hardee's picture. It's from 1961, and you see here, at this point, there was no inside dining for Hardee's. You just walked up to the window and you placed your order, you got your food, and you left. And apparently, I'm not sure when this Hardee's opened, but very shortly after this, because the next picture, you can go ahead and put the next one up too, Lee. The next one is from 1962. And in 1962, you see they had enclosed it. Now, and it did a really good job, because the only way you can tell for sure it's the same building. If you look on the right-hand side by that pickup truck over there, Lee, go back one image, to the prior image, I mean. And if you look, there's that angled edge of the building, there you go, on the right-hand side. You see where, in fact, the front too. The front and both sides are angled toward what would be the kitchen of the restaurant, I guess. So, and when they enclosed the front of it, they kept that angle on the sides and just brought the front of the building, of course, straight down. And so, Lee, let's go back to the other picture, and you can see that the front, there you go, and part of the side too, I should say. The front and part of the side, they just brought the wall straight down. So you can still see the angle there on the right-hand side of the picture anyway. And this picture was dated 1962. So apparently very early after the building was built and in operation, they enclosed the front of it and made the walk-in area you could go in and sit down and eat there, or at least be out of the weather if it was inclement weather and you were trying to get something to eat. I'll tell you what, Lee, this is a good time to take us our first commercial break. So let's do that. Bring it back to me. Folks, so we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, I've got some pictures of Rick's Hotel to show you. They're really neat, some really good pictures that I have not seen before, and the area all around the Rick's Hotel there. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Wayback Wednesday in just a few minutes.
Watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flora's Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Well, it's that time of year again. Open enrollment for health insurance now through December the 15th. I'm Gus Tullis, and we can help you navigate the affordable healthcare marketplace. There is no service fee, and all plans provide free preventative care. We can help you understand all the options in the marketplace and assist you with enrollment in the plan that works best for you and your family. You can save on costly medical services by enrolling in the Affordable Care Act plan today. Call Gus Tullis Insurance at 937-6913 and get covered today.
If finding money for Christmas presents this year has got you down, don't worry. We've got your back at Carolina Jewelry Pawn and Gun. Cash loans for Christmas are our specialty. If you need money, come see us. Find a gift for anyone on your list or something special for yourself. Just look at our display case for gold, silver, and diamond jewelry. Check out our electronics gun section and our collection of beautiful estate jewelry. We specialize in new and used guns. Carolina Jewelry Pawn and Gun, serving you for over 25 years. 443-1668, 2522 Sunset Avenue, Rocky Mount.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service. We offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family. And we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
We're in our 18th year of practice at the Hammer Chiropractic Center, and we've seen over 15,000 different people in the Rocky Mount area. 40% of headaches actually come from a neck problem. Many patients come in taking multiple aspirin, over-the-counter medications and such a day, and we can get you to stop doing that and actually fix the problem so the headaches don't rise anymore. A lot of people think chiropractic hurts. It does not. Most of the people come in and they feel great when they leave.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Hey, and we're back. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Wayback Wednesday. I'm Randy Adcox. Glad you could join us tonight. Before the break, we were talking about the area around the Rick's Hotel. And, you know, there's been on several shows in the past, we've talked about the Rick's Hotel, and we've shown pictures of the Rick's Hotel. Wallace had some pictures including his collections I had not seen before, and so I wanted to share those. But many of you remember there was a Gulf station right there by the by the hotel. It was called Hotel Gulf. Mr. W.C. Sharon run that for many years. I'm not sure who had it before him. But anyway, there was a picture that was, in fact, go ahead, Lee, and bring that next picture up. This picture was actually dated, and I'm not sure who dated it, so there you go. In the picture, the caption of the picture said Hotel Gulf 1973. I think it's probably a little bit earlier than that, and the reason I say that, in some later pictures, I'll show you in just a minute, we'll get to those. But Charlie Killebrew actually documented the demolition of the Rick's Hotel. And there's been some confusion in past shows, some discussion about exactly when the Rick's Hotel was taken down. But I stumbled across some of those pictures from Charlie Killebrew's time when he documented the demolition, and they were dated 1970. So if in fact it was torn down in 1970 when Charlie was taking those pictures, I'm assuming that information on that particular site was accurate, then this picture would have to be sometime prior to that, obviously. I'm not sure. That looks to be somewhere around a 69 or 70 Buick, I think. It's hard to tell from this picture. But anyway, it was sometime shortly after this picture was taken, the Rick's Hotel would have been torn down, of course. But anyway, let's go to the next picture, because this one is the first in this group of some really neat pictures. There you go. This is one I think we have shown before, because I've seen this picture before. And you know, in 1950, I found the city directory, and it showed that in 1950 the Cambridge Hotel was listed as 324 Southwest Main Street. The Hawkins Hotel was listed as 423 Southeast Main Street, and the Rick's Hotel was listed as 380 Main Street, and so Southwest Main, I should say. And then there was also, of course, the Rick's Hotel Annex, and that was actually listed as 123 Coastline. And there's a little small street that is no longer a street. They've taken away its street designation now. But if I remember correctly, I think that's also the same little area where the bus station was, that little Coastline street there, that actually ran up to Main Street, perpendicular to it. So anyway, and we mentioned a couple of shows back about the Pomai Hotel, and that was actually listed in this 1950 directory as well, city directory, as being at 604 South Church Street. So in 1950, under the category of hotels in the Rocky Mount City, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello there, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello there.
Okay. You spoke just a minute ago about the Coastline Street.
Yeah.
And that street was 1 block long, and it ran from Church Street over to Main Street. And you can get down there right now where the tarmac is, so to speak, about where the train station is. and there's still some evidence of that end of that 1 block long Coastline Street right there, but it just goes down there and kind of dead ends, but it still has the curb and gutter in place, and that's something that I think it might have been resurfaced and repaved, but that is the location where that street was, where it came into Main Street.
Right. Okay. Good deal.
And that's also the street where the bus station was before the bus station got moved over to the Edgecombe side of the tracks.
There you go. That's right.
Coastline Street was the street that the Sanatorium Hospital faced.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bishop Laundry, which was a prominent laundry in those years, their front of their building also faced Coastline Street, and Dr. William Stanley Wall's office was also facing Coastline Street.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There you go. All right, buddy. Thank you. Have a good night. Okay. All righty. So anyway, what I was saying, in 1950, in 1950 city directory, there were actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hotels listed in Rocky Mount. Now, that's not saying there weren't more than 5, but these are the 5 that were probably the more prominent ones, and they were the ones that were listed in the 1950 city directory. The Rick's Hotel was actually built in 1908, and so had a pretty good run up until 1970, if what I said earlier is correct. I think it is. I think that's the information I was reading about Charlie Killebrew document the demolition was dated 1970. So anyway, and of course this would have been facing, this is the side of the hotel here, but the front of it faced Main Street. So, all right, let's go to the next picture then. This next picture is actually an advertisement, and I'm not exactly sure when this was done. We've actually, I think we've shared this before too on a prior show. A little better, kind of a little bit further back shot of the hotel. And again, this would have been from probably looking South Main Street, looking back toward kind of north to the hotel. Would have been on your left-hand side if you're looking north up the railroad track there. So, okay. All right, let's go to the next one then. And this next picture is actually an undated picture, but it looks to be early 1900s, I would say, maybe 1920s. But it's roughly the same shot, just a little bit closer up to the hotel. And again, you'd be on your left looking north up Main Street, hotel's on your left there. And this was just identified as Rick's Hotel black and white image. No date was given on this one. Okay, Lee, let's go to our next picture then. And this is actually part of a postcard. And it's just tells a little bit about there's 250 rooms, 60 of them with air conditioning. Without a bath was $3 a night. If you wanted a room with a bath, it was $4 a night. At coffee shop, cut off a little bit on the right-hand side there. But anyway, this is just an advertisement. I'm not sure where this appeared. This may have been in one of the local school yearbooks, or it could have been even been in one of the city directories. I'm not sure. And I'm not. It looks to me like this could be just from that car in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, probably from the 1940s, I'm guessing. Could be a little further back than that. Mid-30s to early 40s maybe, somewhere along in there. Okay, I mentioned earlier that Charlie Killebrew documented part of the demolition of the Rick's Hotel, and let's go to that next picture. This will show some of the demolition, and there's actually a couple of 3 of these type pictures I've seen, and you can see at this point it was already pretty well underway with the demolition of it. And I've said before, my dad happened to be going by there sometime during the demolition, or before they started. Let me back up, because they wouldn't let anybody go in there once they started demolition, obviously. But after they had ceased to operate and before the building was to be demolished, my dad happened to go down there and got an opportunity to go inside. And at that time, there were still a few items left in there. And one of the items left in there was an old hat rack, or coat rack, a freestanding coat rack with a hat rack part at the top of it. And my dad was allowed to take it out of there and take it home. And so for many years, it was at our house, and my last recollection was out there in our garage, and I don't know what happened to it after that. I wish we still had it. But in any case, I dare say that's probably around Rocky Mount. Somebody's probably got some kind of souvenir, if you will, from the Rick's Hotel. But it was certainly one of Rocky Mount. In fact, Eastern North Carolina's, I would say, is probably one of our more premier hotels in its day. But this was, again, from Charlie Killebrew's documenting of the demolition of the Rick's Hotel, and it was dated 1970. So, okay. All right, let's go to the next one then. This next picture is actually an early picture of the Rick's Hotel. There you go. I think there's actually a postcard here. But again, you can see same basic angles what we had before. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello there, you on the air? Hello, caller, you're on the air.
You know, they had a very fine white tablecloth dining room in the Rick's Hotel. I remember my daddy would take me there sometime on Sundays, and it was quite an experience.
Wow. So, Tom, do you know anybody who has got any souvenirs from the hotel? Have you heard of anyone around town who's got anything from there?
No, I surely haven't.
Well, I'm glad to know you're watching the show tonight, Tom. Good to have you with us, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. All right. Mr. Tom Betts there. Okay. So, Lee, let's go to the next picture then. Again, these are just some early pictures of the Rick's Hotel. And there you go. It's kind of odd in one sense that most of these pictures would have been taken, like I said earlier, kind of south of the hotel, facing almost north with the hotel to your left. And there's several of them in the same. And this one to me looks to be probably very early after the hotel opened. It was built in 1908, so I'm guessing 1910, 1912, maybe somewhere along in there. But as you can see, it was just a very, very grand building. I mean, it was, oh, got another call. Let's get this call. Hello there, you on the air?
Look here, you talking about the Rick's Hotel and the restaurant.
Yes, sir.
They used to have that table set, and they'd have napkins, you know, turned up, white tablecloths. It was fancy. As you walk by, you could look right in the window and the tables that were nearest the window. You also asked if anybody. I've got 2 lamps that came from there.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to come on the show one night and share them with us.
They're just lamps. They're not, a genie's not in them.
Are they electric lamps or oil lamps?
They're electric.
They are electric. Do they work?
They're electric, but they're pull chain.
Now, were they something in someone's room, I mean, one of the rooms or in the lobby, or where would the lamps come from? Well, do you know?
I think it was a bedside lamp.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad to know someone has got and managed to hang on to something from that hotel. Like I said, we got rid of our coat rack years ago. I have no idea what happened to it.
My stepfather actually probably got these, and then I got them from him when he died.
Well, that's neat.
Anything that was like associated with the railroad up there, or whatever, he ended up giving me that stuff.
Well, I got you. Okay.
It's neat. They're nice lamps. They really are.
They're probably worth some money. I mean, they got to be over 100 years old. Well, I say that. They could not be from early part of the hotel's history, but certainly they are several decades old anyway. I think that's fair to say.
That's right. Yeah. And I tell you one more thing I got was a tea serving out of a private car at the railroad.
That's cool. Is it silver?
It's engraved on it, you know.
Is it silver?
Yeah, silver.
Okay. All right, then. You probably got some nice...
I didn't mean to hold up. I know you got a lot to talk about.
Okay, buddy. Thanks for calling in here. Appreciate you. All right. We'll see you. Okay. We'll get to the picture in just a minute, but we had a couple callers now who've mentioned about the lobby and how fancy it was and the napkins. I actually got a picture in this collection that Wallace sent. Oh, got another call. Let's get this call. Hello there. You on the air?
Don't you think it's kind of odd that Rocky Mount had that many hotels? No bigger than it was. Evidently, they depended on the railroad people coming through?
Well, that was it. I mean, right there at the railroad station, people would come in and stop on their way south or north, either way, and need somewhere to stay. And so, yeah, that was, it had to be within walking distance. Transportation that we have today, taxi cabs and so forth, weren't around those days. So, yeah, there was, literally within walking distance, there was a half a dozen hotels around the train station, because that was the main mode of transportation up and down the eastern seaboard United States then. So, yep. Whatever happened to our hat rack, Pop?
I don't know. It was out in the garage, and I don't know, it just disappeared.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to it.
Maybe when the tree limb fell on it, got gone then. I don't know.
Maybe so. Okay.
All right, we'll see you. That was my dad there. Yeah, we had back in when Floyd came through, in fact, a great big limb fell out of a big old oak tree in my parents' backyard and landed right smack dab on top of the garage and destroyed it. And that was the last I remember seeing, last place I should say that I remember seeing that old hat rack was out there in the garage. And so when they came and did the demolition on the garage, because it was torn down and a new one was built, but my guess is that's probably what happened to the coat rack right there when the demolition took place on the garage there after Hurricane Floyd came through. Lee, let's go ahead. We've got a couple more shots here at the Rick's Hotel I want to get to. And I'm not sure where we at in the sequence here. So there you go. This is a beautiful shot here of the front. This is looking straight on to the front of the hotel, obviously. Neat balcony there above the main entrance there. And it looks like some little dining tables maybe down on the ground level out there. You could go out there and have a little mint julep on a hot Sunday afternoon or in the middle of the summer waiting for your train. Or maybe when you got off the train you wanted something cool to drink, could sit out there and watch the other passengers get off and on the train. But this was just a really, really grand hotel. And it was on par with some of the hotels you'd see in any major city in the country. I mean, it was just swanky, is I guess the goodest word any to describe the Rick's Hotel in its heyday. Swanky. Okay, Lee, let's go ahead then. We've got a couple more in this grouping. We'll get through those and then we'll take our next commercial break. But this next picture here you go. This is actually one from the Bugs Behringer collection that I had not seen before. And again, this is similar to the others in that you're kind of looking north, just inside the railroad, just inside Main Street, I should say. Hotels on your left there. This is one of the better quality pictures. And you see that sign here, it says, "Welcome Esso Dealers." Apparently there was some kind of Esso gas station convention being held, and they used the Rick's Hotel for their gathering. And so they had a welcome sign out front there for all the Esso dealers who probably arrived on a train to come to this little, whatever it was, convention or gathering of some sort, and they stayed at the Rick's Hotel there. So this was a neat picture too. Okay, we've got, I think, one or two more in this group, Lee. The next one, I think, is the one some of the other callers were mentioning earlier about. There you go. And this is showing the lobby with the napkins up there and the white tablecloths. We got another call. Let's get this call. Hello there. You're on the air.
Randy, I would just want to tell you, when I was 10 years old, which would have been about 1954, I took music from Miss Hazel Worsley, and we had a piano recital in the Rick's Hotel.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I just remember as a young girl, I thought, well, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
I bet it was.
It was just really something. And my husband has a Rick's Hotel ashtray.
Really?
It's not much, but it's a little glass ashtray, and it has Rick's Hotel on it. So we're glad to have that.
Well, I know you are, and that's neat. I'm thrilled to know that there are some old relics and remnants of the hotel still around in private collections. So
that's right. That's right.
Got a little piece of history there.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you.
Well, I thank you, ma'am, and thanks for watching the show.
Okay, enjoying it.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. I tell you what, Lee, let's go ahead. I just realized we have done blown past our second commercial break here. We got to let some of these sponsors get their words in tonight. So let's go ahead, Lee, and take our break now. Folks, when we come back, I got a few more shots to show you the Rick's Hotel, and then we're going to jump around some other shots around Rocky Mount. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Wayback Wednesday.
Sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company. servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Well, it's that time of year again. Open enrollment for health insurance now through December the 15th. I'm Gus Tullis, and we can help you navigate the affordable health care marketplace. There is no service fee, and all plans provide free preventative care. We can help you understand all the options in the marketplace and assist you with enrollment in the plan that works best for you and your family. You can save on costly medical services by enrolling in the Affordable Care Act plan today. Call Gus Tullis Insurance at 937-6913 and get covered today.
If finding money for Christmas presents this year has got you down, don't worry. We've got your back at Carolina Jewelry Pawn and Gun. Cash loans for Christmas are our specialty. If you need money, come see us. Find a gift for anyone on your list or something special for yourself. Just look at our display case for gold, silver, and diamond jewelry. Check out our electronics gun section and our collection of beautiful estate jewelry. We specialize in new and used guns. Carolina Jewelry Pawn and Gun, serving you for over 25 years. 443-1668, 2522 Sunset Avenue, Rocky Mount.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service, we offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family, and we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
We're in our 18th year of practice at the Hammer Chiropractic Center, and we've seen over 15,000 different people in the Rocky Mount area. 40% of headaches actually come from a neck problem. Many patients come in taking multiple aspirin, over-the-counter medications and such a day, and we can get you to stop doing that and actually fix the problem so the headaches don't rise anymore. A lot of people think chiropractic hurts. It does not. Most of the people come in and they feel great when they leave.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
And we're back. Hey, during the break, I had a neat phone call. A lady said that in 1954, she worked at the Rick's Hotel as a server, waitress, and she was telling me about there was a room in the hotel. It was called the Red Room. Some of you may remember this. It was certainly before my time. I don't remember it, but there was a red room. She said everything in the room was red leather with white trim. And I just cannot imagine anything that elegant, that plush, that just over-the-top fancy in Rocky Mount. But as I said earlier, the Rick's Hotel, it just didn't have any, it had no equal in this area for sure, for many years anyway. It was just the top dog. And she also said that she worked across the street from this Hardee's that we showed the picture of earlier, and she said that she thinks that they enclosed the front sometime after 1963, because she was working there then, prior to it being enclosed, and then after too. We got another call. Let's get this call. Hello there, you on the air?
Hey, about the Rick's Hotel.
Yes, sir.
Something maybe people don't know is there's a Hotel Louise in Little Washington on Main Street that was owned by the Rick's people.
Was it same type architecture, same general layout, design and all? Or do you know? I said, was it built like the Rick's Hotel?
No, it's not as
Wasn't it fancy?
as the Rick's Hotel, but it was a nice looking building, a big hotel, about 4 stories high, and it's still standing there.
And it's in Little Washington?
In Little Washington on Main Street, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go take a road trip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Appreciate that.
Okay, man.
Have a good night. Okay. Who knew? I didn't. I did not. But anyway, the lady says that she was working across the street from that Hardee's, and she says that she's pretty sure that it was enclosed after 1963. So maybe somewhere late 63, early 64, somewhere in that time frame. But in any case, it was originally open, as I said before, where you just walk through the window and order your food, and then in later years they come back in and close it, so you wouldn't stand out in the rain, the snow, and the bad weather to get your burger. So 15-cent burgers back then, by the way, too. Okay, so let's see. When we stopped, Lee, we were showing the hotel lobby, and then I think we showed a postcard, if I'm not mistaken. Did we put the last one up, and we'll go from there? I'm not exactly sure where we left off at. I'm sure it was still the Ricks. I think we had a couple more in this collection. There you go. Again, this is the lobby. Some of the callers mentioned the fancy tablecloths and the napkins that were made in little pyramids there. And, I wish, of course, it had gone out of business before I was old enough to go in there. I remember when it was being torn down, I never went inside this place, and I really wish I'd had an option to do that. Something like as fancy as this place was, for this area especially, it's just something that you just don't see. So anyway, okay, Lee, let's go to the next picture then. And I think this next one is actually the postcard picture. There you go. This is from the 1920s. And as you can see, it's the same. It's kind of funny that most of these shots at the Rick's Hotel were all taken from Main Street, looking roughly north, with the hotel to the west there, off to your left. And it's just, several, this was just a prime, I guess, this was maybe the best angle for the photographers to get to do these shots. But anyway, all right, let's go to the next one then. That may have been the last one in this collection of the Ricks. I'm not sure if there's any more. Okay, this is, I think, the last one right here. And this would have been probably hard to say. I don't see any vehicles, anything to date it by, but it looks to be very early. I don't know, it's hard to say. It really is. But I think that is the last one there. This is a postcard too, by the way. There wasn't a date stamp on the postcard either, so I'm not sure exactly where this was. Okay, let's go to the next picture then. We've got the Rio restaurant. This was from 1959. That's when the picture was dated. And we've shown this picture before on the show. For those that watch the show regularly, you'll recognize this picture. For those that may have not been watching regularly, you may not have seen this picture. But this was the Rio restaurant. And I'm going to rely on some of our viewers to give us some background on this because, frankly, I've forgotten. I think somewhere on North Church, maybe. Don't quote me on that. Someone knows for sure. I'm betting. So 407-1111 if you want to fill us in on the Rio restaurant. But anyway, this is from 1959. So, okay, this next picture here, Lee, let's go ahead to that one. And we're running out of time, and I've got quite a few pictures left that we're not going to get to. Oh, there you go. There's another picture of the inside of the Rio, the dining room. Nice place, obviously. Hope we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello there. You on the air? Hello, caller.
Hey, the Rio restaurant was out there on US 301. I think where the Elks Lodge building later became at.
I think you're exactly right. That was my thinking too. I didn't want to say it, I wasn't sure, but I think you're exactly right. It looks like the Elks Lodge building.
And standing there facing the Rio, off to the left where the
Atlantis Seafood
restaurant was at. Ciders opened that in 1971.
Right.
Before that, it was built as a part of the Rio restaurant there in Oyster Bar. And before the Ciders took it over, it was vacant for a long time. But the building that the Elks Lodge is in, I think is where the Rio restaurant was.
I think you're exactly right, Garrett. That's my recollection too. Okay, buddy. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I started to mention that, but I wasn't sure, and I figured I'd let someone who was more familiar with it than I was. But yeah, I think he's right. I think it was the same location where the Elks Lodge was, and I think they're still there, in fact. But anyway, okay, Lee. Let's go to the next picture. This is a neat couple pictures here. If you remember earlier, I mentioned that some of these pictures, one of the nice things that Wallace did was showed a picture a couple of years apart. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello there. You're on the air. Hello, Mr. Billy.
Yeah. Did you just get a message on where the Rio was located?
Yeah, Eric said he thought it was the Elks Lodge building. Is that right?
That's it, right beside Atlantis.
Yep. That's it. That's it.
Okay, I just wanted to pass it.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. All right, bye-bye. Okay, this is obviously down at 5 Points, the later years known as May and Gorham Drug Store. Take a good look at this picture now, because at this time, and this was actually from the early 1900s, I'm not sure, I want to say that building was built somewhere around 1906, 1905, maybe somewhere along in there. But at this point, that building stood right by itself. If you notice, there's nothing to the right, nothing to the left. It was a freestanding building when it was first built. And it was known then as the Bullock Building. Who knew? In later years, it became known as May and Gorham Drug Building, but when it was first built, it was the Bullock Building. So now, having seen this picture, and notice, look to the right, look to the left of the picture, notice there's nothing around it. And let's go to the next picture, Lee, because by the time this picture came along, as you can see, they've added quite a bit onto this building. It extends well on down Washington Street there, and several businesses. It looks like maybe 5 or 6 businesses that are extended on beyond. And of course, by this time, it's come to be known as May and Gorham Drug Store. So this was a picture I had not seen, at least in this sequence, with the building standing by itself, and then the additional buildings that were literally built right up to it, and in fact adjoining it, and then the buildings the facades just kept right on going down the street. So neat architecture. You notice all the buildings had the same basic design up the top of the building, the windows. They just carried the theme of the originally what was called the Bullock Building right on down the street, and all the stores on that side of the street that were connected and adjacent to this building carried on the same architectural theme right on down the street. Okay, let's go to the next picture, Lee. We're almost out of time. This next picture here is actually referred to in the collection as 100 Southeast Main Street. And this would be basically if you're sitting or standing on top of the Planters Bank building looking down on Main Street. That's People's Bank across the street there. And I'm not sure, that restaurant there too on the far right hand side of your screen, I think we've identified that restaurant in a prior show, maybe the Palm, I'm not certain about that, but we have identified that restaurant in a prior show. It's just been a while and I can't remember off the top of my head. But this was the 100 block of Southeast Main Street in the 1950s. The next picture, Lee, let's go to the next one. The next one is the same basic area 10 years later. And you can see the Rocky Mountain Furniture Company down there, Carolina Office Equipment. We've got a call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Good evening, buddy.
Hey, Harold, how you doing, buddy?
Fine. I just wondered if that building next to the bank, or at the couple of doors from the bank, was Thomas Cafe. It seems that name was...
That very well could be. This image right here is a cafe, and this picture here, if you're looking at it or not, Lee, can you zoom in on this picture and just see what that cafe, see if we can identify it from this picture here. Now this was in 1960 right here, so it was 10 years later. So I'm not sure. Now it is the Palm in this picture.
Okay, but Thomas Cafe was probably near the bank.
Okay.
Near the bank building. It was a good lunch counter in the 50s and 60s. Going back, you don't have to go back in the photos, but going back to the Rio, all the information that you received is correct about the Rio was in full swing in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to my first JC meeting at the Rio. You're back on it. And the first meeting that I attended was there at the Rio. We later moved the meetings to the Buck Overton restaurant.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Buck Overton restaurant, in the 70s, 60s and 70s, Buck Overton was in full swing because they could accommodate several hundred people for a dinner meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and the JCs moved there for many years. But when the Rick's Hotel was demolished, they had an auction that auctioned off the furniture pieces, and Mrs. Overton went down and bid on some of the coat racks and some things from the kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
She purchased a big coffee urn that was gigantic and monumental, and they served tea out of it for many, many years.
How about that?
And of course, we know today that Buck Olton building is housing one of your sponsors.
Yeah.
The pawn shop down on the corner.
It sure is. You're right.
Where we had our JC meetings in that banquet room, they called it.
I remember it.
Times have changed.
They sure have. Okay, buddy. Look, thank you so much here, and thanks for watching. Appreciate you.
Thank you, buddy.
All righty. We'll see you. All right, Lee, bring it back to me. Folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. We've run slam out of time. I want to thank you all for your calls and your recollections and sharing your memories with us. You know, I've said before and I'll say it again, this show to me is what I get out of it is what you provide with your comments and your commentary and your memories and your recollections. So keep them coming. It's always a pleasure to me to host this show and look back at these old images of Rocky Mount. And I just wish now, in hindsight, I wish I'd have paid more attention when I was younger. Okay, folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. Have yourselves a great week. Take care of yourselves and be kind to each other, folks. We'll see you next week with more Wayback Wednesday. Good night.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flora's Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.